Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. It is Sunday night, and that means there's a piece of television that we all sat down to watch. And those of us that have watched it, I think, are very, very happy for yet another week. I mean, it's been 8 straight weeks of just smiling ear to ear because this show is so damn good. This adaptation is so damn perfect. And everyone that is involved in front of and behind the camera has just been stupendous. What am I talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair? Take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in spoiler free into HBO's The Last of Us Season 1, Episode 8, our penultimate episode, titled When We Are in Need. And I say this in my reaction spoiler review for sure, but this is one of those episodes where you kind of get to learn when people are in need, people will do just about anything. And this is, for me, while we have had dark storytelling to this point, I mean, whether you want to look at Bill and Frank or Sam and Henry or just what's happened to Joel recently, like, we've had a lot of darkness in this show. Tess, right? I mean, is one Riley, right? Like, there have been plenty of moments in this show that have elicited tears, fear, sorrow. It's a heavy world. And I think we are introduced to the darkest piece of that world this week. This is, I feel like I'm starting to say this every week, but this is another stretch of the game that I absolutely adore, man. And it's one that gets seared into your brain because from a gameplay standpoint, man, there's a tough stretch of zombies in this stretch of the game, which obviously minor spoilers, but y'all shouldn't be surprised here. No zombies in this episode. And this episode didn't need zombies, even though there are zombies in the stretch of the game. But the zombie gameplay in this stretch is great, and then the human, villain gameplay is great. When you get down to, the end of this stretch, you really, really understand who the bad guys are. And we get introduced to some of them. We get introduced to some dark stuff this week. And while visually, the episode is kind of bright as it takes place in the winter and there's lots of snow. There's a snowstorm. It doesn't really take place at night. It's during the day most of the time. The only thing that's dark is that friggin' garage that Joel's in. But visually, a very bright episode. We definitely do peel back some of the darker layers. And we're introduced to 2 new characters this week, David and James, who are part of this group that Ellie's going to run into. And I love the fact that James is being played by Troy Baker, much like the Jeffrey Pierce cameo. I'd say they gave Pierce more than they did Troy. But Troy, spoilers on the inside of the episode, does mention how he's getting to come back into this world. I never thought I would get to be a character. I figured they'd give me a clicker or a stalker or one of the zombies or a dead body. So getting to play a character in general, he was just super enthused. But so nice as a fan to see him in here and what we get from him and James for video gamers. It's what you would hope and expect for it. And again, as a fan, it was just cool to see him pop up. But those 2 characters, and David more so, who's played here by Scott Shepherd, who absolutely crushes it, by the way. He is one of my favorite, it's of the non-main 2, right? Not Ellie, not Joel. What Scott Shepherd does with David, as far as someone who's played the game, is one of my favorite performances of the year. He's got to juggle a lot. He's got a lot of different things to do. He's got to make the audience feel a lot of different ways. He's got to make the characters feel a lot of different ways inside the show. And I think he really does encompass it all and really pulls it all off. I felt everything that I felt when I was playing the game. And it involves tone shifts and gear shifts, and they hit in the right moments. They nail exactly the vibes that you take away in this stretch of the game. And that's really what I was hoping for in this episode, where it was I could see how they'd probably remove the zombies. I could see how they can consolidate and shrink this, stretch of the game down a bit. And while they did all those things, because they've been doing those types of things all season, once again, like they've been doing all season, they capture the essence of this stretch. And you feel the fear. You feel the tension. You're scared. And you're scared on multiple different levels, like things that are actually happening, things conceptually that are happening, different things that were presented in this episode. And this is an episode where Ellie has to learn to survive on her own. And Bella Ramsey crushed it last week. I mean, she's crushed it every episode of this season. But last week, huge episode for Ellie emotionally. This episode, huge episode for Ellie from a physical surviving standpoint. And while she can survive in a different way because she's immune, there are still things in this world that can get her, that are scarier than the zombies and the things that she's run into. And seeing her face that stuff in this episode, Bella's just doing unreal work. I mean, this is Emmy worthy acting from her. I mean, just this episode alone, the swings in emotion where you've seen fear, you see some more of that rage that's inside of her and that anger. You see brokenness. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, there's a 14-year-old girl who's being thrown into impossible situations, but while she's been in all these, she's had an adult with her. And now that adult may or may not live, and all of it hinges on her. And Bella just conveys that so perfectly through facial expressions and performance and the way they build this episode. You know, Druckmann and Mazin just teed it up for her to knock it out, and absolutely does. When it comes to Pedro, obviously he's a little banged up, so we get a different kind of performance from Pedro. But again, one that is nuanced and is something that really kind of shows you how him and Ellie are the same, two different sides of the same coin. And some of the moments that we get with him, just from a visual standpoint, how they stylize him look-wise because he's almost dying, to the type of willpower that he can muster up when it's all on the line for that girl. I don't think that Joel is in a spot where, you know, he needs to feel like he has to fight or survive for himself. I mean, last week he throws Ellie off him and is like, run, get out of here, go get Tommy, leave me, I'm gonna die. And what's amazing is how someone who had accepted, I'm probably gonna die on this floor, can find an inner strength and a push that they don't know they have until it's someone else, you know. And that's where the bonding was so important, for that bond to finally be cemented for Ellie and Joel before Druckmann goes and rips it away from us for a little bit, because that becomes the thing that really drives Joel to be more of a father type and kind of look at Ellie as more of a daughter type. And watching Pedro do that was just unbelievable. And then, like I said, when you look at this adaptation, I mean, once again, Druckmann and Mazin opt to stay in moments longer that, you know, are visually and verbally super accurate to the game. But instead of cutting to black or cutting away, we sit. And we sit in things that we sit in for the game, but longer. You give me 5, 10 extra seconds on something, the emotional weight for a television show can suddenly hit a lot harder and get you closer to the way things in the game hit, because you are playing as these characters. You know, it's something that I don't think I can stress enough when it comes to the relationship and the connection that video game players have to these characters, is because we've lived as them. And this is a stretch of the game where we finally get to live as Ellie for the first time. And there's a lot going on in this episode that really drives us closer to Ellie and understanding her more, and teeing up things that we'll be able to dive into and break into in, you know, the preceding season. Not preceding, the following. Like the upcoming season, like season 2, when we get in there, and if they do more than season 2, like stuff that comes out of this story is stuff that for that character we will be breaking into as we go forward. And I think the way Mazin is just able to so accurately adapt and then add little things. They mentioned something in the inside the episode about a line that David has that's not in the game that they put here that just adds an extra layer and just enhances the material. So this is an episode where, like I said, Ellie's got to survive on her own a little bit, and she gets tested and gets tested hard. And watching Bella accomplish that stuff and watching the show pull it off, I mean, the set pieces, again, are unbelievable. Like, the visual way that this show just is like, I feel like I'm watching a live-action version of the game. Like, it's perfect. So let's get the Sea Maniacs up. Obviously, you can tell from an adaptation standpoint, I'm going 5 out of 5. They nailed everything, story beat wise, emotion beat wise, and the things that are added, the things we sit in longer, and the things that we're starting to dissect and look at between Ellie and Joel just is perfect. You know what I mean? And when you just look at it as a standalone piece of television, the things they're doing to capture the vibe of the game or the feelings of the game or the emotions that are connected to it is just so impressive what they pull off every week. And this one, like I said, it's an important episode. It's a stretch that's super, super memorable and you know, fun for scary reasons. You know, I like to be scared when I play scary video games, and the tension in this stretch is so high. And they really do a good job, I think, of accurately capturing that and the fear, the type of fear that Ellie is living through in this episode is just pitch perfect for what the story needed to be. So when it comes to the whole episode, I'm obviously going 5 out of 5. It's the third time, third time I've gone 5 of 5 in both spots. Fourth time I've gone 5 for 5 on the episode. And in all honesty, outside of the Bill and Frank surprise, because that wasn't like how it is in the game, and just again, just an unbelievable individual episode of television. When you look at like the things and the episodes I was most looking forward to and the adaptation being perfect, these other 3 episodes, you know, Sam and Henry, Riley, and this one, I cannot wait for the finale next week. I hate that the Oscars are going to be on as well. That's a conundrum. We'll see if The Last of Us addresses that the way they addressed the Super Bowl, but I think the Super Bowl and the Oscars are a little different when it comes to viewership. I think a lot of people will not watch the Oscars anyway and will tune in, so I wouldn't shift the date. But for someone like me, oh man, Sunday is going to be rough, but I am so excited for it. So I'm going to shut up, man, and I'm going to turn it over to you. What are you guys thinking? Keep it spoiler-free, but gamers, how well did they adapt this episode? How phenomenal is Bella Ramsey? How great is Pedro Pascal, even with just like a little bit? And if you are not a gamer, where are you emotionally, intellectually, physically at this point in the season? And how is this show impacting you? Because this show beats you over the head a little bit, and not just the show, but this world beats you over the head a little bit with the dour and the dire and the negatives. And we experience some of the world's worst in this episode. But it's one of the few that doesn't necessarily end making you feel like shit, you know? Even though it emotionally connects. So how does that playing for you? How are you guys liking that? Anything you got on the show in general or episode 8 of The Last of Us, put it down below in the comment section. I look forward to talking to you down there. Also, let me know. Are you going to watch the show? The Oscars? How are you going to play all that stuff next week? Put it down below. I look forward to talking to you down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the C-Man anytime we're talking movies, TV, trailer, reactions, you want to be here to see our finale coverage, Mandalorian, the other Pedro Pascal dad show. I'm covering that very similarly to this. You'll have reactions, reviews, all that good stuff. You want to be here for any of that. You just dig my vibe. You want to see what I got to say about other things. You want to just show a little love and support. Come join C-Maniac Nation, man. It's the easiest way to do that, and it's super easy. You just got to jump over there. You got to hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell if you want. Don't hit the microphone. Hit the little bell if you want those alerts. And until next time, man, for the C-Man Cinema Sit Down, I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Oh, you guys are still here. You snuck up on me. You must be looking for more of this guy. Well, I got 2 video options for you, man. Right up here and right over here. And if you want all those C-Man goodies, well, hey, come join the squad right on over there, and I'll catch you on the next one.